One person is in custody after a deadly quadruple shooting in the French Quarter just after noon today. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for watching. I'm Katie Moore.
And I'm Cherise Gibson. Now, this comes just days after 2 people were killed and 11 were injured in 2 separate shootings at the second line in the 9th Ward. New Orleans police say this was a targeted shooting. It happened on Iberville Street near Royal at around 12:15.
And tonight we do have team coverage for you of the investigation. Rachel Hanley has spoken with local officials about the incident. But we begin tonight with Amelia Strahan live with the latest from the NOPD. Amelia?
Katie and Cherise, we're actually standing just steps away from where those shots were fired. If you look closely at the restaurant, you can see blue tape that's hiding bullet holes. NOPD says they have a person of interest in custody and believe the shooting was targeted. We talked to witnesses who heard the shots, and they describe a chaotic scene.
There was probably around 30 to 40 rounds of gunfire.
Aaron Jordan was on Canal Street when he heard shots ring out from the French Quarter.
Boom, 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 real fast.
After the shot stopped, another witness described seeing multiple victims begging for help.
The gentleman in a black and purple top with like red and black sweats comes up the street kind of saying, I'm hit, I'm shot, I'm bleeding. A woman sitting on the ground right there. There was no blood or anything, but she was on the ground as if she had been shot.
According to NOPD, 1 person was killed and 3 were injured during the shooting near Iberville and Royal Streets.
A vehicle pulled up. There were a couple of them on board, maybe at least 3 on board. They seem to have been targeting a particular person who was in a group. We can tell you that we have already recovered this vehicle.
A picture given to us by our partners at the Time-Picayune, NOLA.com, shows a man in a mask getting into a silver sedan, matching witness description.
I saw that there was a silver in color, I believe it was a Honda 4-door car that sped down Iberville Street.
Thursday afternoon, video shows NOPD officers investigating the same car on Crowder Boulevard in New Orleans East. Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick says officers arrested a person of interest, but are still searching for a suspect.
It is such an unfortunate situation, especially in our entertainment area, but from what we can tell, this was targeted.
And we are supposed to get an update from the superintendent in just a few minutes, so stick with us and we'll keep you updated. Reporting live from the French Quarter, Amelia Strahan, WWL, Louisiana.
All right, Amelia, thanks so much. And we're learning more about the relatively quick arrest in connection with this case.
WWL investigative reporter Mike Perlson, he's joining us in studio now. He has some more of the new information he's gathered. Mike, what have you learned?
Well, I can tell you there was a very quick police response, and it was in response to technology that really helped this along. Things are still developing as we speak, but what we know is that some surveillance cameras from Project NOLA, which works closely with NOPD, captured those images that you saw of masked gunmen getting out of the car outside of that restaurant, Iberville and Royal. And then it turns out that they were able to chase and follow that car all the way along I-10 to the Crowder exit, where they made the arrest of what they're calling a person of interest. That person happened to be someone who was on an electronic ankle monitor, an ankle bracelet from a conviction that required that as a condition of probation. From that, detectives have been working closely to track the movements before, during, and after the shooting of this person of interest. We are going to get more information, presumably, about that. That person is under questioning by NOPD. So the NOPD, with the use of this technology, was able to gather a lot of information very quickly, a fast developing investigation.
We also know that there were additional people in the car just from that surveillance footage that, our partners at the Advocate have gotten.
Correct. And what is one of the outstanding questions here is when they pulled this car over, there was the driver, now called a person of interest, under arrest, but no other passengers. At what point did they exit the vehicle? Were they in the vehicle? How did that happen? So I anticipate we're going to be hearing from the superintendent soon. with hopefully some more details that are advancing this investigation and what we know so far.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. And you know, unfortunately, once again, in just so many days, local officials are condemning an act of mass violence.
Yeah, one council member says the violence isn't linked to any particular event or location, but believes there is an overall gun violence problem throughout the city. Rachel Hanley is picking up our team coverage. She's joining us live now with more on that. Rachel?
Yeah, hey, at this point, the comments from city leaders like that are just starting to come in. And you referenced that one. That's from City Council President Helena Moreno, and I'll read you a part of that statement. She did reference the St. Roch shooting that we saw on Sunday. She said, "This reiterates the point that I made during yesterday's Criminal Justice Committee meeting, that these shootings are not linked to certain gatherings or locations. This is an overall gun violence problem throughout our city, and we cannot stand for it. This is not who we are, and those responsible will be apprehended and fully prosecuted." And we also heard from the head of the Metropolitan Crime Commission, Rafael Goyeneche. Like Mike just said, technology played a big part in the NOPD of being able to arrest the first, or take into custody the first person of interest in this shooting. And Goyeneche thinks that any remaining persons of interest will be able to be caught quickly too, thanks to these cameras. Those are specifically Project NOLA cameras he was talking about. Those are different than the city crime cameras, which are installed on public property. The Project NOLA cameras are on private buildings with the owner's permission, and then they're operated by the nonprofit Project NOLA.
The French Quarter has invested in these cameras on businesses and homes in the French Quarter, and there is a really extensive network of Project NOLA cameras that have been instrumental in solving a lot of the crime that's perpetrated in the French Quarter.
I was able to get a hold with the leader of Project NOLA, and I asked him if any of that footage would be released to the public at any point. He says that's not something they do, and they don't release it to news outlets either, but he did confirm that that photo Amelia showed you of the two suspects in their car on Iberville Street did come from a Project NOLA camera. He says that the nonprofit did not release that to the Times Picayune unit. It came from somewhere else. On Canal Street, Rachel Hanley, WWL, Louisiana.
All right, much more to come. We're going to have continuing coverage of this investigation. We're expecting to hear from the police chief in just a little while. Look for the latest updates on our website, our free smartphone app, and our social media pages.